Yeah, I mean, it's so cute. It's really nice. It really works. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, this is really cool. Let's test it out. Attach an image. Let's press image to design. Let's see. I use Gemini 2.0. This is something I can say feeling. This is cool. Let's give it another try. I like foxes. Let's try. Okay, I like the animation. It does understand the context. Let's ask. I also want orange laces. It actually recognizes the laces and it paints. Make it darker, please. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, this is really cool. I built AI product configurator just in one day using Cursor and Gemini. Okay, hey guys, so this is Stefan again. I actually was spending quite a few weekends to do something really amazing. I had that idea for a while, but again, like before, AI and tools was not really on that level, and recently with the Gemini 2.5 with some stuff like Gemini 2.0 Flash with image generation, and again, many big improvements on the Cursor, I decided like to give it a try, like and do some weekend wipe coding, and I developed this just in one day. It's a 3D configurator powered by AI. It's basically just controlled by AI chat, and I will show you exactly how I did it with all what's inside step by step. So what's happening here is, again, there's a chat. That is an AI assistant that is capable to actually manipulate with design. So what I can do is take a text prompt and convert to the build design or do some specific commands. Okay, let's do SpongeBob design. How about that? SpongeBob design. Thinking. All right. Not bad. Oh, guys, I mean, it's so funny. Yeah, and it also can take an image. So you probably saw that in the image. Like, you take an image and can process the image. There's there's like 2 steps, right? So it's first analyze the image, extract the information, and then run the same step as before. Okay, so it takes some colors from image and the idea for the pattern. Boom. Moreover, it has access and understanding of specific areas, not the only complete design. Yeah, so I can say like change the tip tool, change the laces, change the Nike logo. Okay, change Nike logo to black. Nike. Here it is. I mean, wow. Okay, so let's go and check what's inside. The first thing we need is Cursor. The Cursor is an amazing tool. You've probably heard about it. So you can download Cursor absolutely for free and try doing things. The free models there are very good, but I tried to do a little bit extra and I really wanted to try the new Gemini 2.5. So that's why I get a paid plan, and I actually coded the whole project with Gemini 2.5 Pro. That is a little bit expensive, but it really can do some magic. So the one noticeable difference from another models that you can find here, like for example Claude 3.7 Sonnet, also Max, so you can see their charge per tool use and per request. So it's at 5 cents. But the noticeable difference for Gemini 2.5 is that it has 1 million token context, which means that I can do longer history and like it will follow on my recent changes and actually do what I want. So before I was testing like Claude 3.5 and Gemini 2.5 is really way better in terms of understanding the whole context. I would say Claude 3.7 is also good, as we're talking about the highest models available in the Cursor, but for solving a specific task. So you definitely have to try. But the whole project I built, I was using Gemini 2.5 90% of time. So the first step I took is actually created a simple project. So I just went to a Cursor and I asked like, okay, just create a simple project of React plus Next.js plus Tailwind CSS and plus 3D. For 3D, I was using Verge3D. So this is an engine similar to 3GS, but it is more friendly to 3D artists such as myself. So what is the thing here is that Verge3D is basically a tool built on top of Three.js, but with a lot of plenty visual things. It allows one thing I really like is direct export for Blender, and the thing is that when you install it as an add-on for Blender, then you can do some shaders right in Blender and it will export it almost similar way as it looks in Blender and convert it in a way that you can run it on web. So what we're gonna do is I go to the instruction, go to the developer reference, and I took this page and I just copied the link to the page, or you can copy the content onto the page, and I paste it here in a cursor and say like, okay, here is an instruction how to connect my application to the Verge. And my god, it was able to actually do that almost in one run. The tricky thing there was that you need to read sometimes what it actually says. So it was actually able to do it almost in one run. But when you read the outputs from the chat, it will suggest you to sometimes you need to move some files manually. So take a look there. It is very easy. It's actually explained it step by step. I need to copy some files in a folder or create a folder, and it actually was running. So I was able to do with one prompt almost. I created a complete app from scratch. It helped me to install all the models, etc., the React app with Next.js, with Tailwind CSS, and connected Verge3D. So I was able to see an application with a rotating cube or something like that. My tip is that try to split task and do not load and ask like for too many things. You might be waiting for too long. Again, the AI is powerful, but again, if you do like a lot of subsequent tasks, I mean, sometimes it can manage that, but if you want to more precise approach, just split it in smaller chunks and smaller tasks, right? And run it one by one. So I asked it first to create a scene with a rotating cube. That was the first step. Let's go and think about how to connect AI. And for AI again, I was really keen to test it out, like the Google recent models. I use Gemini 2.0 Flash for a chat model. And how do you do that? So basically, for any LLM's model, you can go to AI Studio, choose the model and press the Get API key. Then you just create a new API key and that's it. You go to Google Cloud to see all the billing stuff, etc. You need to fulfill the balance, but again, that's extremely cheap. It is way cheaper than OpenAI models. I mean, I was playing around with the chat model like for the whole day, like sending like hundreds, like I think like for a day I sent like 1,000 requests, and I was charged like $1 or something. So you create an API key, and the thing is that you will need to create or ask the AI where to put the key. My suggestion here, again, this is something I know from the programming, right? There's a two way to run chat. The first one is run it on the front end side where API key might be exposed, or again, when you use React plus Next.js stack, you can have some sort of big backend call right here. So it runs some sort of server, and this will happen on the back. So the thing is, you need to ask Gemini to do the following. Just do a chat window, but make a request from the backend. And it will also tell you that you need to create .env of that local file. This is a private information, so most likely it will not create this file automatically, but it will tell you in the chat that, like, look, you need to create a Google API key, or like whatever way you call it, and well, basically you need to copy the API key, put here and save. Right, this is important. The coolest part here, I was extremely surprised how easy and quick it developed me a chat window, similar to what you see here, right? It was like, first it developed just as something like on the side again, but you can ask in the prompt, where do you want this chat window, like where it should take a space, etc. That's not a problem. And the cool thing is the Gemini 2.5 obviously knows about Gemini API, and it was able, and basically about a Google API, and it created a chat based on some Google libraries, like just in one pass. That was extremely easy, and it connected AI just right away. I mean, just like, let's say it was 30 seconds, like it created a chat, and I was able already to use it again. All right, so that was the first part. And when I had the chat, I started to actually think what's next, and I needed a 3D model. I went the CG Trader and I bought the model for $7.5, and this model is actually really nice, right? For example, I open it in a Blender, and what I did actually, I just cleaned up it a little bit in a way that I just removed some textures, I made it white by default, and so on and so on. Alternatively, you can put the model as is and not use Verge3D if you are not familiar with the Blender. And again, the Verge is also not a mandatory option. You can use 3GS instead and it will work extremely nice. Again, the only thing you will need to do is find the 3D model or whatever and put it in your application folder. It will suggest, you can ask chat where the best way to put the assets. The only thing, again, I just made some changes myself, which you can do by code, or you can ask someone like to help you with that. When we have that, the only important thing is that actually to know or analyze the structure of the model. If you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of service like online that can just analyze what's inside the GLB. Or if you have a little bit of knowledge, you can open it through any software, and we need to find the parts or anything that we want to manipulate. In my case, there is just one object and a lot of materials, and I tried to give them like reasonable names. And what I did is basically wrote to Gemini, look, there is a 3D model, please load it instead of a cube. There are 7 color zones and some other zones. Please take them into account and make a function for Gemini chat to call. And what it actually created, right? It created me a file called Gemini tools. And you can see there are some functions called like sneaker tools, and you can see the first one is set sneaker colors, get sneaker color part, generate pattern texture from AI, set sneaker pattern, and so on. So these functions were created completely by AI for AI, but it was created by my request. I exposed that I want to set colors by this logic, and also it created a functions themselves that actually work with my Verge3D application. But again, it will be even easier if you work with 3GS. But again, it was extremely fascinating to see how easy it figured out like the Verge3D. I like this engine a lot, and how easy it was for me to work with, right? So I can just export. The only difference between the Verge and like common 3GS, the way it exports another layer in GLTF, and the Verge engine actually capable to do that. So I can create some sort of nodes here, and they export it, and again, like this almost identical look from what we see here and what you see in 3D scene, right? So like you can tell. So after I created the function, the last part what was required is, after Gemini tools, is to create an instruction, right? So tools are sent to AI within a chat, so it is aware about tools take place. So you can take a look how it looks from my end. But the instruction is very important, how and when to call this function. So you can take a look, you can press pause and take a look on my instruction, but eventually it is very, very easy. So here I define like who is this assistant, and I just say like you tell the AI and you help create a design, right? Good. And I define the core abilities. So the first core ability is to set sneaker colors batch. I mean, because before I tried like to do that like one by one, and it's like ended up this is not needed to be that complicated. It's cool when it sets all the colors together, but I still have the ability to set a specific color. So I just explained it. Okay, like you have a function, you can call it. You just need to identify the parts and a color. The rest is some instruction. Again, this instruction was written by Gemini also. Only thing I did is actually went through and asked it to add some details, like for example this detail, act immediately, minimal clarification. Right, this one was asked by me. When I tested this first time, it was asking too many clarification questions, and I was just trying to create a design, right? And it was like to SpongeBob design. And I was like, okay, SpongeBob design mean this color. Do you sure you want to make a design? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And I actually went to Gemini and said like, why are you asking too much question? Like, can you please make it not ask too many questions? And wow, yeah, just add this. It added this rule here, and it works nice. I mean, you can test it out. It just like type something and it takes the actions immediately. Here also someone added instructions like what parts we have, etc, etc. Basically everything was generated on top of my previous instructions. Like I explained that again, like there's a 7 colors and 5 parts, and actually take all the information and put here. The other interesting part here is that these 2 blocks I did with another AI. So I was also testing, like in the same time I was testing OpenAI 03, just recently released, and I went there and say like, I'm creating AI assistant that works with colors, etc. Please do design guidelines for me so it combines colors in a nice way. So I was thinking quite a minute or something, and it actually ended up with this sort of instruction. I just copy pasted it, and I mean the color actually makes sense after I set this instruction. And the very last part here is image analysis structure. So basically I just asking like when you receive an image, which is like sub scenario, I will show you a bit later. I just ask, okay, can you please do a very short analysis of what you saw with not much details, and just say start cooking. If you don't ask to do it before, it was actually sending me like a very detailed list of what you see on the image. But I mean, I'm not really interested. I'm just like, give me the key things and say like, hey, let's do that. So that is the instruction. And after that, I was able to do a first magic. I was able to change colors on my sneaker. But then there was a missing part because, for example, I have some parts called color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4, for example. And other things you can see, the color stitch will actually make sense. Yeah, this goes for stitching. But 1 to 7 doesn't make much sense for AI, right? Like, I mean, just what is 1 is just color 1, parts 1. And it was able to do the following. I was able to ask like, okay, change color 1 to red. But I mean, no one outside this configuration or without looking good can tell that there's a color 1 or color 2. So I did a funny thing. I did an image with explanation, and I just did a screenshot from Blender. So it's quite easy, right? I just go here and I select, let's say I select a material and I say select, and it will highlight the area that covered by this material. It can be another part or whatever. Again, like this, just some additional information that makes sense and is easy to understand. The only thing here is the information not be ambiguous, right? So I just did a screenshots and I combined them in Paint and just added like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it works extremely nice. So only by this image now I was able to print Nike. I mean, I was able to ask make Nike logo any color, and he actually did it. And this is area PA, is called like the pattern area. And you know, even from this image, when I first time like sent it to Gemini and said like, here's the image, like what you see again, like was able to tell like PA is a poor pattern. I mean, it is so smart. I mean, this just scares me. All right, so that's the first parts of my application. And then I started like to move this further, right? Animation, the camera animation, again, that is also very straightforward. I just played around like with changing the colors for in the beginning it was innocent, but then I saw, okay, can you do me animation when this operation is finished? Like when you apply the color, can you do a camera animation? And it did it. I mean, and then I see, wow, okay, nice. And then I changed the design. I just like asking, sending a screenshot, asking, etc. The only advice I can give you is, again, just play with it. And sometimes you need to start new chat. This is crucial. Again, if you see that you're struggling to do something, like you're trying to, like let's say you're asking, like do the animation again, and it's not working, and you try again, and like it's just making it worse, it's starting to ruin things. Take a look on the context before. Maybe you did too much of operation and the overall history and the context is like too big, or you like just create a new chat. I mean, that's as easy as it can be. Create a new chat, try it once, try it twice, and yeah, it will work eventually. I mean, sometimes you need to maybe break down your task in a smaller task, right, and approach them one by one. And again, like on a checkpoint, just save it, start a new chat again. In a cursor, it's very easy. Again, like you can do some stuff, you can drag and drop the files here. You say like, okay, and here is the file, like I'm working on like chat, etc, etc. Like, take a look, I need to improve this or this, right? As easy as. So for example, with the chat itself, I was asking to Gemini to apply the case. Look, now when I attach the texture, please show it in the chat, like show the system messages, so on, show colors. So it was a little bit challenging to do this simple thing, actually, like even harder than the camera animation, to show this within a chat. And for this task, the only thing I did is actually I changed Gemini to Claude 3.7. Yes, I betrayed it. But surprisingly, for this specific task, Claude actually was way more successful. But for the rest, I was extremely happy with the Gemini 2.5. Again, the key thing is that Claude is good for smaller, maybe more difficult tasks. And the last part here was to adding like image flow. So I actually asked, okay, now create another route, and that will create an image. So first I just created another chat, right, to see like if it's understand. And so the last step I did is creating an image and applying to the texture. But that was the most interesting thing. So I had to do two things. The first one, the image recognition, and second one is to create a pattern. So the image recognition actually was extremely simple because Gemini 2.0 do understand images and has the vision thing. So I had to do basically nothing. I just added an image input, asked it to attach it to the message, and yeah, as simple as that, it was able to analyze the image. But the next part was a little bit more tricky, as in Google infrastructure, image generating models are placed within the Vertex UI. So it was a little bit more difficult than just go into the Google AI Studio and use the API key. We need to go into the Google Cloud and go to the Vertex UI. That's it. So for all the image models and some other models, well, you need to go to the Vertex UI, and that's a very, very powerful tool to understand. We will go to Vertex AI Studio and we'll create a prompt. So for this specific needs of creating a pattern texture, again, like that's not just a texture, it's a texture that tiles perfectly, and that's the coolest thing. We need to go to the prompts to create a prompt, and we go to the latest, and what you need to find is experimental Gemini 2.5 flash experiment image generation. That's it. This is that model that really understands the context good and able to do some small changes keeping the context. So what you can do is actually very simple. Let's just test it, right? Let's do create a seamless texture of a foxes for me. This requires a little bit of prompt engineering, but not too difficult. From my experience, we might add some resolution, like let's say high resolution square tile. I mean, probably we can remove square. High resolution tile. Let's give it a try. It works. So basically what's matter here is, again, mentioning the seamless texture, high resolution in tile, right? So there's a button here, build with code, and you can just immediately get a code, right? So I use Node.js. Again, the thing is, like, an image generation model only can be run on code, but that's not a problem as we have AI to do it for us. And again, if you choose the right stack like React and Next.js, that will be extremely simple, as it will just create an API and create a routes. And again, like, this was created just in a minute for me. So I just told, like, I just copied this code and said, hey, please use this code, etc. That was working. But I'm lying. It was requiring one thing, and but thanks, Gemini knows the things with Google, and it was suggested me that we need ADC. The thing with ADC is that it's called, like, stands for Application Default Credential. It's a little bit different way of storing API key. So instead of creating an API key, which is also possible but will not work if you want to publish it, I will show you a very quick guide how to manage that. To test the model locally, you can install ADC for local development. That's not that difficult. You can go here and you can take a look. So you need to install G Cloud, then ADC, and basically what it's gonna do is that it will log in on behalf of your Google account to ADC, and it will refer to ADC from the local application. But that's only for local development. I suggest doing immediately the following thing. We will go to Vertex, to the Google Cloud, and we go to AM and admin, IAM, and we will find a service account. It took me some time to figure out, as again, like I was working with I was working with OpenAI, and it's way simpler there. It's just a simple API key. But again, this makes sense. So we go to the service account. Okay, I don't need that anymore. So here, you will need to create a new service account. I already created that, but I will do that once again for you. So you need to create a service account and just give a name. Let's say AI Configurator. Boom, boom, boom. Service account description, we don't need that. Create an account. Select your role. I mean, you need to select Vertex AI Service Agent, as we're working with Vertex AI models, right? We then continue. The other things are very optional, so we can't. And this we can skip. Okay, when it's done, then you can have this key. You can go here, go to manage keys, and you basically press key, create new key, and here you choose a JSON. That's it. Well, a little bit complicated in my opinion, but this JSON is basically what you need to run any Vertex AI model. So how I managed to do that, I just created an ADC folder here. I market it, I add it to the gitignore. So you can ask Gemini to add it to the gitignore, and basically gitignore is for files that you don't want to be published on Git, because they contain keys, etc. And I put this JSON file, you can see here. So basically this is an API keys and so on to make Vertex AI work. And the last thing, you need to go to your .m.local, and again Gemini suggested me that I need to create Google application credential, and here I actually added just a link to this file. So I just added a link to that file I just paste in ADC folder. That's it. A few more thing is that for Vertex AI I also require GCP project ID and GCP location, which you can get from your Vertex AI Studio as well. And basically that's it. Again, so it will probably worth to make sure like you can just attach the .n file and send it to Gemini to double check if you have the right names of environments, environment variable, and that's it. And after that I was able to actually generate image. So again, I suggest to split task in smaller tasks, right? So the first thing I did with it, and I just asked it like, okay, now make it just download the image. And I made sure that everything works, and when sometimes not working, the flow is extremely simple. You just make a screenshot, set a screenshot back to Gemini and say like, why it's not working. To make it more efficient, you should take a look on the terminal. When you work with Next.js, the backend errors will be reflected here. So take a look on that. If something went wrong, like it might get very valuable information for AI from here. So for example, if any endpoints here will fail, you most likely see the error, like detailed report on the error here. You just need to copy it, post it here. It's like it will figure it out. If you have a front-end issues, again, the thing is that AI right now do a lot of logging for itself, and or sometimes it suggests you debugging. So like with something happening you cannot figure it out, it will just add a lot of debugging. So just do a open console, go to here, do a screenshot, and it will figure it out. I mean, it is surprisingly smart right now. Do logging for itself, and then it's able to trace like what's the problem and fix the problem. So I mean, you should definitely try it out. So pretty much this is the complete tutorial, all the insights I did. Again, it's all about just playing around, like just trying to do things, just loads, structured information, small task in Gemini one by one, and I mean, it does the job. I mean, the cursor is also an amazing tool, like how easy it is right now. The rest I did with the application is just some fine tuning, and you can play around. But again, the initial application I did just within less than 5 hours, and it was working. The rest It's just a matter of taste again. I was just playing around with the chat, etc., like with some fine tuning, like I just added background. But the background, not gonna lie, I did it myself. It's just a simple sphere with a texture and a nodes. Again, thanks to Verge, I mean, this is exported extremely well to my application, and I can just play around and do some magic. The texture transition animation also, I did a core here, so I just created a shader, a simple shader where there is like a value, that the value in a shader is able to go from 0 to 1 like that. And the magic here is very simple, so I just ask AI again, like the whole animation is done by AI. The only thing I did is a shader that supports this animation, right? So guys, I really hope you liked it, and I hope you get incredible insights, and I'm keen to know like if you can build something your own, and I'm keen to see if you will build something your own. If this video will get 500 likes, I will publish this project on a GitHub for you to use and refer, or maybe I will publish it anyway. Thanks for watching. See you in next videos. Bye bye.